Let's get it. We back at it with another video. I'm gonna try to keep this going at a better pace than what I've been doing over the last, let's say, months. Where, let's say, every 3-4 weeks or even 6 weeks, sometimes I'm dropping a video. Try to be a little bit more consistent with y'all. All right. So first of all, I appreciate everybody who's been supporting me up to this point. And if you like where I'm headed with my channel, just go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and help me boost up. You know what I mean? It would be great to reach, let's say, 1,000 subscribers. That way I can actually start making some serious moves with this channel. But today's topic is going to be called SuRGeRY, rising from the ashes. All right, SuRGeRY. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because we all have like an inner voice that's within us, and it's trying to get us to pivot the way that our higher self sees fit. And a lot of times, like, we might be too lazy at the point to actually implement what our spirit is telling us, or we're way too let's say, weak at that moment. So we're all battling, let's say, vices. Let's say you drink, right? And you're known to get belligerent and blackout drunk, but your lower spirit has you such in a situation where it's really hard to break the habit. And you know in your heart of hearts that this habit is very necessary for you to break if you actually want to ascend and reach a higher level in life. But that's where you're too weak to actually implement what your higher self already knows to be correct. So that inner voice starts to get drowned out, and you actually hear your lower voice telling you with more gusto to actually just continue doing what you're doing, even though it's detrimental to you. Or in the case of you being lazy, that's the case with me a lot of the times. I don't really think I'm battling too many vices, but I have the habit of like procrastinating something that I know would put me in a very good position. I mean, it's not all the way across the board. I mean, clearly I'm in, let's say, a new environment and I'm making moves as I see fit. But, from time to time, it is really tough to, let's say, motivate myself to continue studying something, or to pursue something that's been in my mind for a long time that I just keep shifting off, even though like that very thing, like I'm telling y'all in my own videos, I know that some of the stuff that I tell y'all are things that I need to implement myself. Not all the way, but I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? So like my one video where I said the obstacle is the path, I know that to be the case. And in the terms of, let's say, physical fitness, I'm very good at implementing, let's say, my strategy, even when I don't feel like it. I don't procrastinate with fitness. I don't procrastinate with cleanliness. I don't procrastinate at work. I don't procrastinate with so many other different things. But since I'm not perfect, there are certain things where I find myself struggling with that. And it's like the inner voice is telling me, Mike, you need to do this. It'll set you up for the future. It'll get you here. It'll get you there. But, my lower self pulls me into watching another YouTube video, or doing something else where I'm busy and don't have the time to, let's say, attack what I know I need to attack. So another point that I'm talking about when it comes down to SuRGeRY is everything is within. All right. That's why it's important for you to know thyself. I know you guys have seen this old mantra being placed sometimes in memes, or you're scrolling on Facebook and somebody posts it with maybe some other points, or you heard about it in the Egyptian culture where they often say know thyself, because by understanding yourself internally, you will have a laser focus on everything happening outside, because life is like a mirror. And I said that also in another video that I'll put in the description box below, which is called Personality Determines Your Personal Reality. Life is like a mirror which reflects back to you your thoughts, habits, actions, and your core beliefs. All right, so it's very important to ask yourself questions about yourself, or questions to yourself, to get a better understanding of who you are. By knowing who you are, you'll be able to curtail a lot of the things that tend to affect people who are not in touch with their own self. Case in point, me asking myself, what's important in life? What do I want out of life? That's a very, very key question that I need to know, because answering it gives me critical thought and it also creates a blueprint for me to follow in order to achieve said things. You ever heard that saying, speak it into existence? How can you speak something into existence if you don't, let's say, know yourself and you're not clear about what you really want from life in that example? Or figuring out, like, what are my hobbies? What am I into? What sparks my fancy? What piques my interest? It's important for me to know that for my own self, so I can now uh, go where my higher self guides me as I try to implement more of the things that I, let's say, like or am interested in into my life. So that's another form of, let's say, soul surgery. Asking yourself that and figuring it out so that you have more guidance in your life. Also, just know, like, knowing yourself, figuring out who you are. This is a long term thing. This is not something you just figure out and now you're just set in stone. Like, I've never been of the opinion that my personality is static. You see what I mean? Like, there are parts of me that are somewhat set, like how tall I am, or my genes, or, my past. There's nothing I can do to change those things. But going forward, it's like every day that I wake up in my bed, open my eyes, and make a decision about how I want my day to go, or how I'm going to start my day, or what I'm going to attack while I'm awake before I lay it back down. All of this is up to me, right? So it's like, understand, externalities will only distract you further. Like getting on your phone or playing around or wasting time or procrastinating, like we all do. Like, the result of doing those things. But knowing yourself and, let's say, deciding that you want to focus on the things that I just mentioned, like, this will give you focus and it will keep you from being distracted because you're on a eternal mission to figure out more about your own psyche. I know it's a lot that I just said right there, but like, follow the bouncing ball. Like, there's nothing I'm telling you that's really out of pocket. I mean, you got to know yourself. You only get one body. You only have one brain. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to pick your parents. You don't get to pick where you were born or where you were raised, or the things about your past are set. But everything else going forward is totally up to you, so long as you know yourself and decide what you want out of life. So, soul surgery and rising from the ashes also has to like there's another point I have to mention there where it's talking about the current you must die. All right, so there's this concept that we only live once. I would even counter that sometimes by saying you only die once, you live every day. But really, the terms live and die are interchangeable. There are some of us who actually died a long time ago, but they're still living if we're looking at the fact that they breathe and that they walk around and that they still animate this clay that, you're allowed to move in within this reality. They've died a long time ago, though. They don't have anything that brings them excitement. They don't have anything that they're gunning for, which makes them feel pumped up and alive. They don't have anything to look forward to as far as vacation or trip. They're just going through the motions and consuming and watching TV and going to sleep and going to work, and like there's nothing that's going to change up that trajectory. So in a way, they're already dead, you know what I mean? Because they're just slowly but surely decaying into their eventual death physically, but mentally they're already dead. So you can die thousands of times in your life by deciding to like shed that excess skin, so to speak. Like how a snake will shed its skin and it continues living forward, but with a new texture, a new pattern, and even a new color sometimes. He'll never try to crawl back into that old skin because it doesn't serve him anymore. So in a way, he like went through a death. It's the same thing with when you change up your mindset about the circle of friends you're around. Hey, what's my benefit from being around them? All right, it's time for me to, like, let's say, die in this case, because when I go forward and hang with another group, I'll probably have different interactions with these people. Maybe they bring me different insights or they're better in certain ways, where now I'm on a mission to improve myself based on the information I'm getting from this new circle of friends. But the old circle of friends has a mental image and memory of who Mike was right there. But that Mike from back then has effectively died. The new Mike that is born here, i.e. the snake with the new skin, is going to continue to flourish and go in this direction. So, it's only a figment of your imagination, the man that I was when I was, let's say, in that example, hanging with that group of friends. So, you must die basically in order to make room for the new you. Just like how you have to clear out your closet, ideally, before you go shopping to get new clothes. Get rid of the old and then come in with the new. Another video reference that I got for y'all. You know what I mean? Another key point about, let's say, the current you must die is that you must become before you can have or experience. You become a person who is open to new experiences before you can truly take in a new experience. You become rich in your mindset, in the habits that you develop, and in the people that you spend time conversing with, in order to actually be later on one of the people who is, by our definition, rich. You become a healthy person in your mind, in your habits, in your diet, in your beliefs, in order to, in 6 months, have people turn around and look at you like, dang, you look great. What have you been doing? You become a weightlifter in order to lift weights. You become a professional in order to take on the courses and the habits that a professional does in order to have that title and also that pay. You see what I mean? You become first. Don't seek anything outside of you. Understand that everything within you needs to be channeled first in order to, let's say, get that thing that you're looking for or aiming for to vibrate on the same frequency as you and eventually come to you. This is like universal laws that we're talking about. So another aspect of soul surgery, ascension is of the highest order. Okay? Ascension, your growth, your development, your refinement as a human, that's of the highest order. All right? That's the best thing you could be focused on in a world where so many people are distracted, going left and right, being pulled in by groups like celebrities, or being affiliated with politics and having, the faction that they support basically preaching to them so much dogma on how they're supposed to think. You'll be one of the people who's channeling it on your own self. And there's just a huge benefit in that, particularly in this time that we're living in, where technology and so many things are pulling you left and right. You can basically go in a straight path by staring at yourself in the mirror, knowing who you are, why you're like this, what you want to be, becoming what you expect before you can have it. And now, coming along with this point, understanding that ascension, being of the highest order, it can't be given. It's only achieved through discipline and commitment. So a great example would be, I want to be a business owner. All right? I want to be a business owner, right? So I have to become a business owner before I am actually successful as one. But what does a business owner do? Once again, taking on the habits. Well, a business owner or entrepreneur is someone who gives the people a solution or improves a current process or system or product in order to, let's say, hit mass groups of people so that they can actually bring in the money and have a functioning business, right? You got to fulfill some type of need. So that means you got to understand your consumer. You have to define who is my consumer. You need to create some type of product or service. That means you're going to have to do research. That means there might be days outside of your, let's say, 9-to-5 job where you come home and you allocate 2 to 3 hours to work on your business plan. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it can only be achieved through the discipline of doing what a business owner does in order to have the results of being a business owner. You see what I mean? Like, there's no other way around it. I mean, you can decide you don't want to commit. You could decide you want to half-ass it and launch some online store, but how many people are really going to support it? Like, you get what you give. universal law, there's no escape. For every action, there's opposite and equal reaction. So you have to put in the work. Also, when it comes down to ascension being of the highest order, it's desperately needed in a time where most people just simply refuse. Like, I'm going to say that again. Your ascension is desperately needed in a time where so many people refuse to ascend. They're totally content the way things are. They're totally distracted. They're totally just warped in their thinking, and they're fully immersed into societal expectations. But they don't have a code of conduct by which they can ascend for their own selves. You know what I mean? Like, don't you find it a little fascinating that we all think different? We all come from different walks of life. No one can see the world the way that you see the world. No one hears the inner voice that's maybe either talking very lightly to the point where it's almost inaudible, or screaming loud within saying, Mike, do this, Mike, do that. Nobody can hear what Mike is hearing except me. You know what I mean? So many people have tuned out their inner voice, or they're following their lower self, that it's very imperative that a handful, select, chosen people decide that they want to do the opposite, to be a beacon of light, you know what I mean, in a world that's going a lot darker, you know, year by year. Which brings me to my next point about SuRGeRY and rising from the ashes like a phoenix, you know what I mean? It's the fact that by deciding to, let's say, focus on yourself, get in tune with your inner spirit, and follow the guidelines that it's laying out for you, you will be a very, very small subset of the population, right? And by tuning into your own psyche, understanding who you are, why, and all these other things I'm mentioning in these points, it's like you're Neo in the Matrix, and you're able to slice through reality and decode the things that go over most people's head. So once again, this is no competition or you doing anything I'm saying in order to, you know, make others look bad, or, you know, pop your collar with arrogance or a huge ego. It's mainly just for your own benefit, your own betterment, your own evolution. I mean, why not? Like, what? Fight the good fight. Be your best self. What else are you doing with your time? Do you really think that anything I'm telling you on this video or any of the videos I mentioned, if you follow what it is and then you look back 10 years from now, do you really think you'll be disappointed that you took, let's say, the point of performing surgery on your own soul and rising from the ashes of all the stuff that you've been doing to evolve to a higher level? Do you really think that's going to serve you wrong going forward? And that's my point. Last point about SuRGeRY is, why not embark on the journey? I mean, of course you have laziness, you have all the other reasons, you have your lower self pulling you, but I'm just saying, like, by and large, like, aside from the excuses, growth never happens in your comfort zone. If you're not growing, then that means you're shrinking. If you're not learning and becoming smarter, then you're stagnating as far as your knowledge. That means you're becoming dumber. Like, everything in nature exists in pairs. So if you're not working out and developing strength, then that means over time, on a long term, 5-10 year, like, you're getting weaker. You're not giving your body much to work with. I mean, am I lying to you right now? Also, understand, there's nothing really honorable in deciding in your mind that you're just going to be average or mediocre. Like, you're just going to maintain what you got. You're not going to push for anything. You're not going to stretch your limits. I mean, that's okay for you to do. Many people take this route. But if you remember the movie Troy, now, of course, this is Hollywood, and I'm not even trying to go down that rabbit hole. But if you remember the movie Troy, there was a scene where Achilles, a.k.a. Brad Pitt, was getting ready to go out for a battle. And somebody basically asked him about why he does the things he does. And he said something along, I'm paraphrasing, I don't really remember the scene exactly, but I remember he basically said something that the dude disagreed with. And then he told him, Achilles basically said, yeah, and that's why your name will never be remembered. You know, it's not an ego driven thing when I say to be remembered. It's just a point that I'm taking from a movie. But facts, like everybody who's great, everybody who, you know, dies, or people in your life who passed away, the ones who really inspired you, don't you think of them often? Don't you find yourself remembering how they were and taking little points about their experience on this plane and adding it to yourself? I mean, I look at my grandfather, how he used to maneuver, and I'm implementing that into my life. So it's like he's living vicariously through me, even though he's already passed away. And all I'm doing is carrying the torch. Like I'm bringing my family forward. That's the reason why I talk about my last video. You know, like you owe it to your ancestors to be your best self. I mean, you truly do. Why not? You know what I mean? I understand procrastination, laziness, whatever you, but everything else being equal, why are you deciding that you want to be average? Why aren't you fighting for anything? Why aren't you pushing to be your best? Why aren't you expanding your horizons? Why aren't you challenging yourself? Only you know the answer, but like think for your future self. Pay it forward to your future self. I want to be, for example, in my 50s, looking back, appreciating that the younger me sitting at 39 thinks, moves, and acts the way he does now, because it's only going to increase the trajectory of my life to put me in a higher position when I turn 50, all things being equal. I can't predict the future, but I mean, what's in my control I'm focused on, right? Also, untapped potential is simply a waste. It's simply a waste. Why have the talent to, let's say, dance if you never dance? Why did you learn the piano and you're really good at it and you actually have fun doing it, but you haven't done it in 10 years? Why? Why are you not doing what you were gifted with? You know what I'm saying? If I like to talk, if I like to research, if I like to read books and do this type of, let's say, activity, it only makes sense why I make a YouTube video. Yeah, I don't have the views. Yeah, I don't have, let's say, the amount of subscribers. But I'm still doing my due diligence by pouring something forward, taking something that would normally just be a conversation with someone that no one would remember, and I'm at least making it into a video format where I have like an archive of so many different topics that someone could maybe listen to and get inspired from. There's other ways that I can, let's say, develop my talents, and I intend to by, let's say, channeling my energy on the higher self, listening to that inner voice and performing soul surgery on my own self so that I can rise from the ashes, aka I can die and actually be rebirthed with a new philosophy or a new way of going about things in this life that I'm living. I have no, let's say, accurate watch on how much longer I have to live. But while I'm alive, why not perform surgery on myself, on my own soul, in order to flourish and see what I'm made of? I challenge y'all to do the same. You know what I mean? So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all on the next one.